Now let me tell you about a story that you probably haven't heard elsewhere. Now, it's a fascinating story, and it's about terrorism in the Middle East. You would think you might have heard about it. This guy named Everett Adam Livix. He went from the United States to Israel with a plot to blow up holy sites. Oh my God, he's going to blow up the Wailing Wall? I can't believe it. He's going to blow up some sort of church.
Oh, good, Jenky. It's my favorite part. This is the part where you think you're fooling somebody and you're about to pull an old switcheroony on us. I assume you're talking about Muslim terrorism. In the Middle East, it's gotta be Muslim. No, he's gonna fool us. It's actually a Christian this time. He has cherry-picked an event in the Middle East where a Christian was planning a terror attack. Ha-ha! So there, take that, millions of Muslim terror attacks in the Middle East. We've achieved equivalence. And the reason, Senor Jenk, that we have not heard about this guy is because in today's news cycle, a bomb plot, so in other words, a guy that didn't blow up a bomb, a guy that thought about blowing something up, but didn't, and was caught. That's not that newsworthy. We have planes going down, we have Muslims killing hundreds of children in schools, we got mass beheadings in the deserts of Arabia. Yeah, this is not a big story, but I cannot wait for you to, with a shit-eating grin on your face, talk to me about how it was a Christian, ha! It was one of you guys. Let's wait for that reveal, that oh so clever twist. Oh, Jenk.
I can't believe it. He's going to blow up some sort of church? No, of course he was going to blow up mosques. That's perhaps why you might not have heard of it.
Oh, right, Jenk. There's a mass conspiracy from all of the major news networks to not cover homicidal horrors if it's done by a Christian. Right. So, what kind of a fucking innuendo is that? No, there is no mass conspiracy to highlight Muslim violence. The Muslims are being violent. Fucking unbe-fucking-leavable.
Well, Everett Adam Livix was arrested in November and charged with weapons possession. Okay, now, the weapons were bombs. The indictment accused Livix of planning to blow up Muslim holy sites in Jerusalem. So it's clear that this guy is a suspected terrorist, that he had the bombs, they have the evidence, that he talked to people about how he's going to blow up mosques. They explained that Livix entered Israel and told Israeli friends he had strong anti-Arab sentiments. That also seems fairly clear. Okay. The Justice Ministry said the man that they identified as Livix, that's the Israeli Justice Ministry, underwent a psychiatric evaluation Tuesday after his indictment Monday on charges of illegal weapon possession and overstaying his visa by more than a year. So, now why do I bring you this story? First of all, because nobody else is bringing it to you, and it's interesting, right? I mean, a guy planning to blow up the most holy mosques in the world, right? This is the ones that the Muslims find most sacred. Now, that might cause some issues if he did that. First of all, he might have a lot of civilian deaths. Second of all, there would be significant anger over that issue, which might spill into more and more violence, which affects more Jews in the area, more Muslims in the area, and eventually all of us. Now, a reason he might want to do that is, it turns out you need to rebuild a temple there, and if you're a good, fundamentalist Christian, you believe that Jesus cannot return unless they rebuild the temple, and it's inconvenient that the mosques happen to be in the area where they need to rebuild the temple. So, if you just blow them up, maybe Jesus comes back quicker. You see, it's only fundamentalist Muslims that are the problem, right? Or it's just Muslims that are the problem. Or could it be that it's fundamentalists of all the religions?
Remarkable. Absolutely stunning that he could try to spin this. Oh my God. That is an amazing situation we have here. So, we have a world that is spinning out of control and chaos, marked by Muslim acts of violence and inhuman behavior. Crazy. I mean, it's all too human, actually. That's the problem. The barbarism that we saw centuries ago is being played out every day. So you have people getting offed, innocent people in Sydney, kids in Pakistan, people running a marathon, fuck it, kill them. You got 9/11, you got the situation in Syria, beheadings, killing journalists, raping and enslaving women. The shit is going bonkers, right? The shit has hit the fan. And what does Cenk do? He shamelessly cherry picks a non-story, a guy who thought about buying explosives, compares the two, and then attempts to draw an equivalence. He attempts to say, look, I showed you a Christian guy who was planning an attack. You show me countless incidents of insane violence from Muslim people. Give or take, it's basically the same. It's, in fact, we can't even draw a distinction between the two. It's just violence. And so let's just back off. Let's zoom back a little. Let's get a little perspective here. Because it's not Muslim. Don't stop counting the Muslim acts of violence. First of all, you couldn't count that high. But let's just recognize that it's fundamentalists of all religions. So the Amish fundamentalists are just as bad as the Jewish fundamentalists, just as bad as the Hindus, and they're just as bad as the Muslims. Of course, throw us in there. We're part of that group. It's as if numbers don't mean a goddamn thing to this man. Not a thing at all. I could tell him, walk right up to his face, say, Cenk, how many nipples does a woman have? Could be a man, but I happen to be straight, so let's use a woman. How many nipples does a woman have? He says 2. I say, well, you know what? Interesting that you say that, because check this out. And I show him a picture of a woman with 3 nipples. Count them, Cenk. 1, 2, and 3. That's a 3-nipped woman. Now, you say, yeah, but that's an oddity. That's a genetic mistake. That's a statistical anomaly. The vast, overwhelming majority of women have 2 nipples. Cenk, don't even talk to me about numbers, please. You need to recognize that when it comes to female human beings, some have 2, some have 3. Let's just say they have nipples. They have more than 1 nipple. That is the end of the argument. The discussion is over. He comes back, no, wait a minute, how could you say that? There are literally billions of women who have 2 nipples, and the number that have 3 is so small, it's ridiculous that you would even make that comparison and not recognize the overwhelming majority, the numbers. The numbers, they're sitting there, they're looking at you, they're smacking you in the face. And that's what he's doing. He wants to deflect, he wants to talk about something else. The man is digging through stories, coming up with, I need an other. I need some non-Muslim doing something bad because that will alleviate the scorn, the global scorn that his family is receiving in lieu of the fact that his family is Muslim. That is his obvious agenda that this propagandist just continually and shamefully puts out for the world to consume.
I know, I'm the bad guy. But look at this story, right? If it was a Muslim guy who was going to blow up the Vatican, you think you might have heard about it? You think that might have been covered 24/7? It's a Muslim guy who was going to plant bombs to blow up the Wailing Wall. You don't think that would have been all over the news?
What the hell are you talking about? If there was a Muslim guy planning to blow up the Vatican or the Wailing Wall, there are. I'm sure there's tons of Muslims planning that or would want to do that, be in favor of that. That's not even news. That's like reporting that the sun came out today. That's a non-event. And guess what? There are Muslims actually committing horrific atrocities every day. It's not just plans. It's not just one-offs. It's organizations. It's groups. It's fucking nations that are doing ridiculously terrible things on an ongoing basis. That's news. That should shock us. Oh, such bullshit. Cry this guy a river. Holy shit, somebody break out a violin, or what do they use in the Muslim world? A flute or something. Wow. Poor Cenk and the victim. Oh my God. It's a media conspiracy. Oh, yes. Nobody covered the story of the fat Texan who went to Israel and thought about buying explosives. Oh my God. Yeah, sorry, Cenk, we were a little bit busy covering hundreds of children being killed in Pakistan. Sorry.
You see, it's only fundamentalist Muslims that are the problem, right? Or it's just Muslims that are the problem. Or could it be that it's fundamentalists of all the religions? I know, I'm the bad guy.
The guy thinks that the world is divided into 2 groups. Muslims, which is like him, his family, he's not one now, but, he's definitely has his allegiance. It's not hard to see. And it's Christians. Okay, so it's the Muslims and then the Christians. So it's us and them. I got to come up with stories of Christians doing bad things. A lot of times I got to go to the past. Okay, I got to go to the Holocaust or the Crusades or the Salem witch trials. Whatever it takes to slander the Christian faith. Why? Because 2 wrongs make a right. No, 2 wrongs make a who gives a fuck, let's stop criticizing anything. If I rape a woman and somebody confronts me, the the girl, say, or the society, the judge, whoever, all I have to do is point out another wrong that some other person did, and then I just pull a David Copperfield and just boom, drop a smoke grenade, and then just vanish and just walk away from the situation. So I'm aware that I raped this woman. It is a terrible thing. There was a guy named Joe Blow who raped another girl in 1942. So that's all I'm going to say. Think about that. It's not about me or him raping. It's about rape. We should be against rape. Okay. Poof. Goodbye. I'm out. This is not a defense. This is retarded. This is just a ridiculous cop out. I love how he piles on the Jews too. There are like 10 Jews on the planet, okay, comparatively to the number of Muslims and what they're up to. The millions of women and gays and people that are subjugated under Muslim ideas, under Sharia, under this antiquated, barbaric, primitive form of life, this theocratic insanity, the awful ideas that the Muslims hold to, they cling to, they uphold, they glorify the ideas. This is the problem. Yes, this is the problem. But no, Cenk, he'll throw a Jew story. He'll dogpile on the Jews all the time.
It's a Christian guy who was going to blow up mosques. Well, it's not connected to anything else. When Muslims do it, it's all connected, right? They're all have some sort of Vulcan mind meld, and they're talking to one another, and they all coordinate, right? Even in cases where it is proven that they didn't coordinate with anyone, right?
What the fuck kind of a point is it to talk about the coordination? Nobody thinks all Muslims are on the same mind meld thing. I can tell you one thing that ties them together. They're all Muslims. So that sort of affiliation is a problem. So if you want to talk about, the dickhead murderous Muslims of Somalia, they're not like the fucking batshit psychopaths in Saudi Arabia. They're different. They're different races. They're different culture. Okay, great. Who cares? Who gives a shit about that? But what ties them together is they follow a warlord pedophile named Muhammad, and they both subscribe to the same ideas. And those ideas inform and inspire their behavior. And that is the problem. So yeah, there are different groups. And the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, they're different. And great. And Boko Haram and Hamas, they're different. Zippity-doo-dah. Who gives a flying fuck, you Fred Flintstone-looking, goofy-ass, apologetic, self-righteous, PC, hyper-liberal, pussified motherfucker?
But when a Christian does it, immediate psychiatric evaluation, he's obviously mentally ill. Okay, because no good Christian, no good Scotsman would ever do this, right? Now, this is the beautiful, right. So when a Christian does it, we say, the guy was probably insane. Yeah, they're all insane, first of all. All of these religious people are insane, but that's not the point. This guy does have mental health issues, and speaking of which, you have covered every other story of Muslim terror or violence or insanity, and you have pointed out that the person involved, it doesn't mean anything. He was just a lone wolf, mental health issue riddled guy. That was your attempt to diminish and deflect, and you've done it time after time. The guy in Sydney, he goes in, kills people innocently, throws up flags talking about Allah, talking about Muhammad. And what do you say? You say, the guy had mental health problems. The guy was a nut. That's what you do. You said it on multiple occasions. Here we go. And the Fort Hood situation, the guy who shot up the people at Fort Hood because he was a jihadist, because he was fighting to defend Islam. You do a video why the Fort Hood shooter was able to buy a gun despite mental health issues. You will jump at any opportunity to deflect and to come up with some other reason than Islam, than the fact that these problems are all tied because of Islam, which is clearly what is happening. That is the obvious takeaway from this. Anybody that observes this group of facts, the group of events that have happened from 9/11 to Pakistan to Mumbai to Boston to all of that, the obvious connective tissue is the fact that they are all Muslims. Bringing mental health into this is such a smokescreen red herring. That is not the issue, mental health. Okay, that is like a academic, trivial, philosophical discussion of, is religious beliefs a form of mental health disorder? It is a mental cognitive disease. It's a fucking weakness. I don't know what you want to call having a set of ideas that do not adhere to reality.
I call it crazy. You could label it whatever you want. That's not the point. The point is there's a group of people who hold a certain group of ideas that do these things, which we all universally can see are terrible. This is not about what should we call them. This is not about are they all working together. No, you're missing the obvious point. You fucking hypocrite. That's exactly what you do. You just projected that out onto the Christian defenders. Like, I don't know who is defending this guy. I don't know a single person that is defending this person. But yeah, I don't think that hippie Jesus would be in support of blowing up mosques. Okay? I just don't. And even if he did, even if you could pull out some quote and said, you know what, Jesus, he said, I come with the sword, I come to divide, I smite the fucking Amalekites, do whatever he said. The fact that this fat Texan thought about doing something and didn't, this does not compare with the avalanche of murderous activity that goes on by Muslims all the time. It's not even remotely close. It's shockingly embarrassing that you would even suggest to mention these things in the same sentence.
All right. In 1969, an Australian Christian started a fire at the complex, this Al-Aqsa Mosque, in hopes that it would hasten the second coming of Jesus Christ. The man, Dennis Michael Rohan, was subsequently committed to a mental institution. So this is not the first time this happened. It's happened a couple of times before. It's usually for the same reason. Jesus is coming back.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, strap in. You're about to take a ride on the Jank time machine, where we go back in time, decades removed from the present moment, and we find transgressions by Christians. We find something that a Christian did that was bad, and it happened a long time ago. 1969, 46 years ago. Okay, a guy started a fire at a mosque and was deemed to have mental health problems because he did have mental health problems. He was not part of an organized movement to burn down mosques. The Christian church does not recommend that you do this. Christian leaders would condemn that openly, without hesitation. The guy was crazy. But Cenk wants to use this. He wants to leverage this and say, look, oh, you see, but when a Palestinian blows himself up, nobody says, oh, take that guy to the mental health. Why? Because there's so goddamn many of them, Cenk. They all believe in this. The psych wards are not big enough to hold all of the Palestinian people that believe these ideas. Look at the numbers, look at the Pew polls that said how many people are in favor of suicide bombing, how many think that it's justified. And the numbers are outrageous. It's multiple millions of people all around the Muslim world, but specifically in Palestine. So how many of them think that you should kill apostates? Multiple millions. Now, is that crazy? Is that a mental health issue? Of course it is. Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to try to kill somebody because they want to leave a religion? What the hell kind of sense does that make? It makes no sense. But that's the problem. You cannot treat the ideas of Islam as a mental health issue. That's lunacy. Because it's not a group of individuals. We're not talking about some emo teenager who's cutting himself. Okay, and is suffering from depression. That's not what global jihad is. That's not what martyrdom is. These are ideas that are propagated and have been for thousands of years by a bloodthirsty cult of death worshippers known as Muslims to varying degrees. We love death more than the heathens love life? What? That's fucking crazy.
And when a Palestinian, for example, if we were to do a terrorist attack in that area, because that's where Palestinians are, do they immediately do psychiatric evaluations and then bring them to mental institutions and try to get them help? No, not really, right? But if a Christian does it, well, come on, man. It's a one-off thing. He's crazy. Of course, let's mental institution, psychiatric evaluation, and whatever you do, do not cover the story, okay?
You motherfucking hypocrite. You are projecting exactly what you do. You always say it's a one-off thing. You say lone wolf. You're recently religious loner goes on hatchet attack. That was your video title for a Muslim jihadist who used a hatchet to attack cops because he was a Muslim jihadist. And that you tried to classify him as a recently religious, not Muslim, just religious, we don't know what religion, loner in other words, don't drag my family down with this fuck, who had mental health issues. That is so dishonest of you. It's incredible. So you're not right, Jank. So stop asking like you do all the time with your rhetorical question of right, right, like your big goofy way of saying, what I'm saying is right, right, right,
Right.
am I right,
Right.
right,
Right. Right.
right, right,
Right.
right,
Right.
wrong,
Right.
no, wrong,
Right.
wrong,
Right.
wrong,
Right.
no, wrong,
Right.
wrong, dude,
Right.
wrong,
Right.
no, it's wrong. You are wrong. You're
Right.
dead wrong, Jenk. You're wrong, wrong.
Right.
Stop. Just stop.
Because it's just an isolated incident. Okay. So look, all the stories are interesting, and they should all be covered, and they should be covered in a just way.
This is not a story. This is not a story. Do you realize how many we would just kill the news? Stop doing news entirely if you want us to cover terror plots from Muslims that never come to fruition. That would be the end of news. Forget sports, forget weather, forget arts and culture. It's over. All we're going to do is list out terror ideas, Muslim plots to attack people. That's not a fucking story, dude. You are a cherry-picking clown.
And explain that yes, people who go to blow up things are usually crazy. And yes, you should probably do a psychiatric evaluation of all of them.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you continue that story and add something informative and actually useful? The number of people that try to blow stuff up is skewed unbelievably to one group of people. They're called Muslims. That is so relevant. Why talk about the first part of that if you're going to leave out the second part, which is the critical part? That is fucking bonkers. I am beside myself. I cannot fathom what Jenk thinks he's doing. He thinks of himself as a crusader, a defender of the faith. He's on his own jihad. He's got a apologetic bullshit jihad. His goal is to bullshit his way into making this problem disappear. It's a hide the ball sort of situation. He's just trying to play with words and cherry pick a story about a Christian doing something bad, and then somehow all of the Muslim atrocities, the never-ending death roll and blood that is spilled by Muslims around the world somehow doesn't deserve criticism, or our, not even criticism, horror, immediate horror, and our immediate full attention. The full scorn of the civilized world should be pointed directly at these Muslims. But a fat Texan thought about blowing something up once. So let's factor that in, shall we?